Hi friends, so the much anticipated and awaited final Grand Slam of the tennis calendar, the US Open, is going to start day after tomorrow at New York. Now there can be some confusion among the fans to whether call this the starting of the US Open or whether we should consider that the US Open has already started 1 week before. That means it has already started, it will go and continue and it will become a 3 week affair. The reason for this confusion is because the organizers have made two significant changes to this year's US Open. First of all, they have taken out the mixed doubles events from the main event of the 2 weeks of US Open and they have put it in the week preceding the starting of the main event, and that week was always called the fan week. But this time proper tennis has been added, and this is the fan week where actually qualifying rounds used to happen, and this year also there has been qualifying rounds going on and to find out the qualifiers for the main event. But this year the main mixed doubles events, a much shortened affair to attract the single superstars, has been done by the organizers, and the organizers have put the mixed doubles event in the preceding week, in the fan week, on the same week where the qualifiers start. So some people may say that how can you call the main event starting on 24th when a complete event, the mixed doubles, has already started and got finished also on 28th, on which date Sara Irani and Andrea Bhavasuri, they won the event and they defended their US Open title. They have already won $1 million. So how can you call the event to start on 24th? But then the organizers are very clear. They are calling that as the fan week, even though the preponed mixed doubles event happened that week. But they are refusing to call it as the main event. For them, the main US Open is still going to be a 2 weeks affair. It will start day after tomorrow and it will finish on 8th of September. But even in the starting of the event, main event also, there has been a significant departure or a significant change by the organizers, who have actually started this event this year on a Sunday instead of a Monday. Because traditionally all the Grand Slams used to start on Mondays, that is the weekday, the first day of the week, and they used to have 2 Sundays in that 2 weeks duration, and the finals used to be on the second Sunday. But then Australian and French Opens decided to make changes to start their tournaments on Sundays. That means they made their events 3 Sunday affairs, even though they were 2 weeks, but they were 3 Sunday affairs. It was done to predominantly give space between the matches to the players so that they could have some rest. The organizers also should have some easy time managing the crowd and the crowded schedule, and also rain or any kind of intervention by weather. And that's how it has become much simpler and easier for those other 2 events. And US Open has learned that lesson from those French and Australian Open, and they have now also gone to a 3 Sunday affair. They are starting on 24th of August and they will finish on the 3rd Sunday. So that leaves only Wimbledon, which is known to always respect customs, tradition and past legacy. They will continue to have 2 Sunday affairs. They will start on Monday and they will have the finals on the second Sunday. Now coming to this US Open, we'll call it as the main event, which will start on Sunday and it will be a 2 weeks affair, and we'll keep the fan week as such as per the narrative given by the organizers. Now since the main event is going to start on Sunday, where there will be only singles and doubles in both men's and women's section without any mixed doubles, the draw has been made for the singles events for men and women, and it has thrown open some very interesting matchups. The men's section will have Yannick Sinner, the defending champion, the number 1 seed, who is also the world number 1, who is starting against a much easier opponent as per form book. He is going to play 28-year-old Czech player, 87 ranked Vít Kopriva, who doesn't have a very impressive resume, who has not won against many top 10 players, who doesn't have a very impressive record on the majors. So Sinner should find him a very easy opponent and he should cruise through the first round, though it is hazardous to call any match in a Grand Slam as an easier match. And also we should not forget that Sinner had to give a walkover in the Cincinnati Masters 1000 Series final to Carlos Alcaraz barely 5 days back because of his fatigue and health issues, and one is not sure, and he had to also had to withdraw from the mixed doubles events on 19th. So one is not sure how fit he is, how good he is mentally and physically. So if you be struggling, then this match can turn out to be a real tricky one. But if he plays according to his form and he plays as per his pedigree, then he should cruise through it. But unfortunately, the same cannot be told about Carlos Alcaraz, the world number 2, 5-time Grand Slam champion, also a past US Open champion from 2022, who is in red hot form after winning the Cincinnati Masters 1000 series also on hard court barely 5 days back. But his first round opponent will be a tricky opponent from US, that is Relly Opelka, who was brilliant 4 years back, who was rising the tennis circuit. He had reached the top 20 in men's tennis, who had reached the 4th round of US Open that year, but then injury affected him and it pulled him down, and he is on a comeback trail, he is on a mend. So if he plays as per his potential, as per his talent, and he is in proper physical fitness, then he can give a scare to Carlos Alcaraz, who doesn't have a reputation of starting well in any tournament. He generally struggles in the earlier round. So if he is not careful about his opponent, he can be in trouble. But going by his pedigree and his form and his achievements, one expects Alcaraz to go through, but after a fight. Now let's go to the GOAT, that is Djokovic, arguably the greatest ever tennis player, who has won 24 majors and is desperate to win his 25th major. He is 38-year-old now, he is number 7 in the world, he is no longer playing all the tournaments as you expect him, an active player, to play. He is picking and choosing, he is selective because he has to also take care of his body. So he can be expected to be a little rusty, and he is starting against a very, very tricky opponent, 19-year-old teenage sensation from US, Lana Ten. Lana Ten had a fabulous run this year in the Australian Open, where he reached the 4th round and he beat Daniil Medvedev, the fantastic player, an ex-Grand Slam winner on his way to the 4th round. So he can be a real tricky opponent, and if Djokovic is little rustier, if he takes time to hit his peak form, he can be really in trouble against Ten. So that will be another tricky match expected. Now in the women's section, there is an interesting match coming up. That is 45-year-old Venus Williams is making a comeback after retirement. Look at her passion, look at her love for tennis after achieving so much. The 7-time Grand Slam winner, who has achieved everything, is again making a comeback. She has put herself through rigors of training and practice and all to make a comeback at 45. She will be the oldest ever player in a Grand Slam since 1981. She is playing this year at 45-year age, and she also knows, everybody knows how competitive tennis is, especially women's tennis, but then she loves tennis, that's why she is coming. So kudos to her. Her opponent is going to be seeded player Karolina Muchova, who is a really formidable opponent. She has reached the semi-final at Flushing Meadows in the last 2 years, so she has already been in great form in hard court, and she has reached the semi-final, and also in 2023 she has reached the French Open final. So she is a formidable top 10 opponent, and one expects her to go through. But then Venus Williams is not going to give up easily. She will give her best. Of course, age and fitness and everything will be against her, but she will try her best, and she will at least entertain the crowd. A really interesting first round coming up. Now coming to the top seeds and their opponents, expected opponents, if everything goes out of as per form book. Let's concentrate on the quarterfinal lineup, because that's where the events are going to. The US Open is really throwing up on some very, very interesting matchups. World number 1 Yannick Sinner, if he reaches the quarterfinal, he is expected to play Scott Draper, the number 5 seed from Britain, who has been in great form this year, and it will be a really mouth-watering quarterfinal. And then number 2 seed Carlos Alcaraz is expected to play highly dangerous and really improving and very, very formidable Ben Shelton at his own home country, that is in US. Shelton has been improving fast and furious manner in the last couple of years, and he has been bridging the gap between him and the top 2 players to a large extent. And now if he reaches the quarterfinal, he can give a mighty scare to Carlos Alcaraz. Number 3 seed Zverev is going to play Demeter of Australia, the number 8 seed. His consistency actually personified, because he is a really consistent player and he refuses to give up. He runs like a hare, he covers court like a hare, and he fights like a typical Aussie with his fighting spirit. He is not going to make life miserable easy for any player. And Zverev, who is known to be mentally fragile, even if he reaches the quarterfinal, he can expect a tough fight against Demir. And finally, the most interesting contest, the one contest which I would look forward to personally, is the one between Djokovic and Taylor Fritz. Taylor Fritz has made huge strides, and he looks the man who is most likely to challenge the top two seeds, the formidable Sinner Alcaraz, for any Grand Slam title right now. And he is going to face Djokovic. If Djokovic manages to ward off his opponents and reach the quarterfinal, it will be a fabulous quarterfinal. And Djokovic knows from then onwards it will be really tough. The road will get tougher, because if Djokovic manages to win against Fritz, he will play Alcaraz in the semi-final, and if he manages to beat, then he has to play Sinner. So he has to potentially play against the three top guys, or the best of the three guys in current tennis calendar or in tennis circuit, that is Fritz, Alcaraz and Sinner, if he has any hope of winning his 25th major in this US Open. So a fabulous quarterfinal lineup is expected, and one just hopes that players play as per the form book rather than having so many upsets in the Wimbledon, and then it can really throw up some very, very iconic contest. Coming to the women's side, Sabalenka, the world number one and the defending champion, is expected to play Paolini, the Italian number 7 seed, who is again very consistent. She has reached the Masters 1000 series, the WTA Masters 1000 series in Cincinnati. So she will be a handful. And Jasmine Paolini is also known to give fight. She runs and she gives a lot of tough moments to any opponent. Only her problem is she has not had the luck to win a major tournament or a Grand Slam, but she always manages to reach semi-finals and finals. So Sabalenka, even if she reaches the quarterfinals, she can expect Paolini to be lurking around there, and it will be promising to be a really great contest, and Paolini has the potential to beat Sabalenka. Number 2 seed Coco Gauff, if she reaches the quarterfinal, she is expected to play Madison Keys, this year's Australian Open champion, though Madison Keys has tapered off a little after winning the Australian Open, and she has not reached the potential high, but then so has been Coco Gauff. Coco Gauff has been struggling after that iconic win against Sabalenka in the French Open Championship, and where she won it, but then quickly things have gone wrong for her. She has disbanded her coaching staff, changed the coach, sacked the coach, taken a new team. So she is also in turmoil. But if she reaches the quarterfinal, then at home on her favorite surface, she can be a real handful. But she has to then handle Madison Keys if Madison Keys manages to reach the quarterfinal. Then the number 3 seed Iga Swiatek, according to me, she is the girl in form. She looks the real hot favorite because she has been so consistent in the last few months. She blanked Amanda Anisimova in the Wimbledon final, 6-love. And from then onwards also she has not shown any kind of slowing down. She won the WTA 1000 Master Series, the Cincinnati Open, against Paolini barely 5 days back. She reached the final of the mixed doubles event with so little rest in between. So if she is fit enough and she is fresh enough and she manages to maneuver the first week, she can be a real favorite for winning the title. But before that, she has to first take care of once again Amanda Anisimova in the quarterfinal if both of them reach the quarterfinal. This will give a chance for Anisimova to redeem herself, to regain her lost glory, because she was mentally scarred with that 6-love loss in the final. At the same time, Swiatek would like to encash on that mental scar that she has unleashed on Anisimova with that 6-love win in the Wimbledon final, and try to score over her in the quarterfinal if both of them reach the quarterfinal. Then finally, there would be Jessica Pegula. If Jessica Pegula reaches the quarterfinal, though she has been struggling a little bit, she has a very forgettable Wimbledon, but if at the hard court, which is her favorite court, she manages to reach the quarterfinal, then she will have to play Mira Andreeva, who once again had a very impressive and brilliant Wimbledon, and she is expected to give a major fight. And if Andreeva reaches the quarterfinal, she is going to make life miserable for Pegula. So one more mouth-watering clash is again promised if they all play according to their form book and they reach the quarterfinal. So yes, Some very interesting matchups are expected in the second week, but before that also we can expect some real talents to come up, some major upsets may happen, and some iconic moments will be thrown upon, and some thrill and excitement that will be plenty in every day in this US Open. Looking forward to 2 weeks of grand action, excitement, thrill and fun. Thank you.